Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amber Rose, also known as the Religious Hippie. You can basically follow me on any social media platform. Just type in the Religious Hippie and you will find me. Okay, so today is going to be a part 3 to the movies and TV shows I regret watching or will never watch as a Catholic. This is probably going to be the last one of this series just because I've done 3 of them and I'm kind of running out of movies and TV shows. So maybe I will switch over then to movies and TV shows I enjoy as a Catholic and something like that. So let me know if you want to see one of those, but for now, let's get into part 3. Alright, so the first one on my list is the Tangled series. Oof. I loved the Tangled movie. It's probably one of the only Disney movies I will actually watch and enjoy. However, they had to go and ruin it and come out with a series. Now, the first season really wasn't all that bad, the first few episodes. There were definitely hints at darker things throughout the first season, but it really didn't get super dark and heavy until the second season of the series. There are multiple episodes that are just way too heavy for young kids. Like, her parents fall off a cliff and there's this demon thing, and like there are multiple times when Rapunzel gets possessed. It's creepy, honestly, and I did not expect this from a Tangled movie. There is just so much drama and tension throughout the whole series, and you cannot tell me that this does not look like it's from hell. I don't want to hear nothing. It looks like Satan himself, okay? No child should be watching something like this. This series was just a complete letdown. I really wanted it to be similar to the movie, where it was light and cute. I mean, at the end, obviously, you know, she gets her hair cut off and her whatever evil mother falls to her death. But for the most part of it, there was humor, it was cute, there wasn't really anything too heavy or tension-wise until the end, you know, when Rapunzel thinks Flynn left her. Like, that's about as dark as it gets, like those parts I just mentioned. But this whole series was just a complete letdown, and it's really problematic that people think this is okay for kids to watch. Okay, number 2. One of my subscribers mentioned this one, and I was actually surprised to notice I didn't mention it in any of the other videos like this that I did. So we're gonna add it in. Family Guy. I used to watch Family Guy a lot in high school. Where do I even begin, honestly? Overall, it's such a crude and awful show. I don't know why shows like this exist, honestly. There's no purpose or point to them. They're not funny, they're not interesting, they're disgusting. I feel like you don't actually have to watch Family Guy to know that it's horrible. It's filled with racist jokes, it's filled with inappropriate sexual jokes, it's filled with crude humor, if you want to even call it humor, abuse. It makes light of horrible events like 9/11, like they made fun of it, things like that. It's just absolutely disgusting. I used to watch it in high school back when I had absolutely no conviction and basically all my friends watched Family Guy, but looking back at it, all I can do is cringe. I'm like, how did I make it through even like a little bit of an episode? Like, it's just awful. It's awful, honestly. Stop hitting your sister. That's so rude. Number 3, the Titanic. I have watched the Titanic twice, and I still deal with extreme emotional turmoil that this movie has bestowed upon me. Now, a lot of people dislike it due to that nude scene where she's like, paint me like one of your French girls. And I agree. I don't like nude scenes. I think they're unnecessary, like sex scenes, but that's not what scarred me for life for some reason. The thought of drowning in icy water with the love of your life literally sinking to his death. I know the story, like the story of Rose and Jack or whatever, basically is made up in a sense, but the Titanic actually happened. People actually froze to death and sank to watery graves. Like, families were torn apart. And that just breaks me for some reason. I mean, obviously it would break any normal person. Like, yeah, maybe Jack and Rose didn't physically exist as Jack and Rose, but there could have been something very similar that happened on the Titanic that was like that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it gave me such emotional turmoil that like I still have to deal with it till this day. I still get really stressed and upset about it. Okay, we're moving on now. Number 4, the kissing booth. I'm gonna be honest, the movie was just plain creepy. Basically, to sum it up for you guys, there's this girl and she has a best friend, and her best friend has an older brother who she is crushing on, and he's like a bad boy, but an actual bad boy because he has sex with her and she's a minor, and there's like all this stuff, and he's abusive, and it basically just glorifies an abusive relationship. There are a lot of like inappropriate jokes and subliminal messaging about sex and masturbation and things of that nature. What on God's green earth makes a director or a producer or whoever made this story up think, oh yeah, this is totally fine. An abusive guy who's older than her has sex with an underage girl and mentally and physically sort of abuses her. Like, what? And then they came out with the second one. The point is, I can't wrap my mind around why anyone would come up with this trash. I really can't. Besides the fact that stuff like this has been going around for years and slowly it's been escalating. I feel like it started with Twilight and like that whole abusive, controlling relationship between Edward and Bella. And for some reason, girls fantasized over that and they were like, we want that. And I'm like, you want to be immortal and go to hell when you die? Like if somebody kills you, you want to do that? No, nobody wants that. But then it kind of escalated over the years to stuff like this, like the kissing booth. To All the Boys I Loved Before actually wasn't that bad besides that makeout scene in the hot tub. I still didn't like it because I thought it was like shallow and really just dumb. But the point is that over the time they've been glorifying these abusive sexual relationships, and it's escalated to things like Cuties, the kissing booth, and other inappropriate dramas that they make for middle schoolers and high schoolers. Like, these kids are confused about who they are to begin with, and now you're just confusing them more by being like, oh yeah, if you're underage, you can have sex or do sex work and stuff like that. I'm going on a rant. Okay, the point is, it's trash. All right, number 5, Rocket Man. I watched this movie with my dad last year because we just finished watching Bohemian Rhapsody, which was about the life and death of Freddie Mercury. And we really enjoyed that movie because we felt like it portrayed how bad the music industry was at that time and all the suffering that those bands went through and what Freddie Mercury went through, and it actually portrayed it realistically. Like, it actually told the story while integrating their songs into it in a really balanced fashion. Now, obviously, you guys know that I do not support the homosexual actions throughout that movie. However, at the same time, it does bring to light a lot of issues that the music industry went through at that time and portrayed his life very well. So in general, that's just that. But Rocket Man, oof. You know, part of me thinks it could just be the fact I'm not the biggest fan of Elton John to begin with. I'm not really the biggest fan of his music, but I just disliked the movie altogether. It just wasn't good. It was more in like a musical style than a movie style where like he would basically tell you about his life and then he went on concert and did his songs. No, it was more like the songs were integrated into the storyline to move it along, but none of them really made sense to the storyline. While they also kind of touched on the subject of like drugs and sex and things of that nature in the music industry, for some reason, how they portrayed it just rubbed me the wrong way. Now, obviously, there were a lot of things in the movie I disagree with. The homosexuality, the sex, the drugs, the suicide, stuff like that. I don't agree with it. And I just couldn't wrap my head around it, really. It just, how the movie was pieced together and the way that they portrayed certain things just totally rubbed me the wrong way. Now, there are proper ways to depict things like this, you know. There are subtle, conservative ways to, you know, tell the story. And just like the producer of Cutie said, well, I'm trying to bring awareness to the underage girls being sexualized. I'm like, that's literally what you're doing. There are 101 ways you could have gone about it better, okay? That's like this movie. Even though I know that this movie was supposed to accurately depict Elton John's life, you know, and it's rated R, you know, and they tell you that and things of that nature, I'm just like, why do all the musicians' movies need to be rated R. There are ways that you can depict things like that in a very modest way. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying like those things are good, but I'm saying there's a way to go about them in certain movies that aren't like going to rub people the wrong way. Until this day, I still wonder to myself, who on earth comes up with some of these movies and why are they out in the world? And with all of that being said, this one's probably going to be the last video I make about TV shows and movies I regret watching as a Catholic. Otherwise, unless I watch something in the future that I regret watching or something like that, I'll make another video. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to try and do some reviews of some Catholic movies and TV shows that you guys have sent me. And maybe I'll do a video on that because I've been looking for some good Catholic, you know, TV shows and movies. So maybe I'll make a video about that. But with all of that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!